leads me on quite neatly, really, to the Special Investigations Editor of the Daily Mail, Sue Reid. Sue, welcome to Talking Pints. Very good to see you here. Now, you grew up in this area.
I did. I grew up 5 miles away in St Anne's, but this was our playground. Blackpool was our playground, and Blackpool is and was a fantastic town to be growing up in. We used to come here as teenagers. I spent my 17th birthday at the Pleasure Beach after a lunch at home, going round and round in the ghost train. I can't tell you what else happened. But we had fun here, and you walked on the front here, and we call it the front, of course, don't we? And literally, there were rock stars here, pop stars, because playing Blackpool was bigger than playing the Palladium. I mean, this is the place where the Rolling Stones were banned from after the Glaswegians arrived for their Wakes Week, stormed the stage, and the Rolling Stones piano was thrown into the auditorium. The Rolling Stones were blamed, not the Glaswegians. And the Beatles played 3 times here in '65. I know that sounds a long time ago, but I tell you, this place rocked.
And I guess
it was successful, it was great, it was upbeat, and of course the people have never changed.
Was it foreign travel that really...
Yes, it was in the 70s.
Did for it, and people made different choices and all the rest of it. You've been away, you've had a very successful career in journalism, you've done some very tough things. I mean, you've covered stories that are not easy to cover. You've covered child trafficking, you've covered the illegal migration crisis, you've covered the grooming, the terrible grooming that took place in some of our northern cities. Do you ever feel you're doing something that's really rather dangerous?
Well, I know that I'm doing something dangerous, but I do think these are important issues to be addressed. And I'm not being a saint about that, but people have to know what's going on, don't they? That is how it should be. I mean, the reason I became interested in migration is because the Daily Mail rang me a very long time ago. And I was a stay-at-home mum, I was working for the Sunday Times, and they said, can you get in a lorry and come over from Calais to show how easy it is? And I thought, yes. So I went to Calais and I chatted up lots of lorry drivers, and there was one from Warrington who was an independent lorry driver, and he said, I'll put you on board. And of course, being near Lancashire, we got on, you see. And so he put me on board, and we set off. We went through the Calais security at the port. We got through to Dover. I was sitting there saying, this is easy. We were driving up the motorway up to London when we heard... And he said, it's one of my tires, but it doesn't matter. I've got 6 on either side. And all the time I'd been in there, there'd been a guy... or indeed we didn't know who was in there, was lying on top of the 8 pallets, big driving, big pallets. He was lying on the top, and as I say, we didn't know it was one person then, but when we opened the door and he came round, the driver, with a great big torch ready to hit to us, we just heard... please help me. Please help me. Out came Adele from Iraq. He ran away in the darkness. And then I realised how jolly easy it is. I'd been in there for 4 hours with a guy lying completely still. And that was when I began to take an interest.
And now they're coming, because of sort of, body heat equipment or whatever it may be, they're now coming across the channel in small boats. It's an issue that I've followed. It's an issue that you followed. And we're told now the Home Office this year are expecting 65,000 to 90,000
I think you predicted that last year, and I think it's going to be absolutely true. And the idea that we can... these traffickers, these evil, evil traffickers are embedded. They've had 20 years to embed. The idea that we can Well, I hope we can do something about it, but it's a pretty...
well, the Australians did. The Australians just towed the people back to Indonesia.
Yeah.
And Tony Abbott, the Aussie PM, was condemned for it, but it worked.
It did work.
We've got to do something. And I think these folk here are getting pretty upset, all over the country getting pretty upset. You know, we want good people to come to the country, but not illegally. I mean, the whole thing is outrageous.
The point I make all the time, and I have made it at a very, very high level with the government, is the security. We don't know who's coming in.
Yeah.
When I walked into Berlin with the first Syrians in 2015 in September, the first thing those young Syrians said to me, most of us aren't Syrian. 2/3 of us are not Syrian. You do realise this. And we're very worried that we're going to be cast aside because of all these other people. And we're talking about a myriad of different nationalities. And I wrote that. I said it then. 2/3 of people coming in are coming in, they're bogus.
Yeah.
Now, they, of course, have been milling around Europe all the time. Even Cameron said at the time 2% are likely to be IS.
I know.
He said it to the Lebanese camp.
It's horrifying, isn't it?
And we just never ask, and in they come. And that's what I'm worried about, the security aspect of it.
I think you're very brave what you do. You've done some fantastic work in Medellin over many years, particularly over the last year, and you've tracked what's happening across in France and where the boats are coming from, and it's brilliant stuff. On personal stuff, just very quickly, you know, I know you lost your partner during the pandemic, and it's been a tough time. He was a friend of Boris Johnson's. Just finally, Sue, should Boris stay? Should he go? How do you feel about what's been happening?
I feel very, very concerned that people in the top of government are not representing ordinary people, or indeed have any connection with ordinary people, that it is coming from a completely different mindset. People who really, they may have come to Blackpool today, and I don't mean to, and thank goodness they did, but when did they last step in, you know, to see Blackpool? When did they last see our northern towns? You know, there's so much potential here. And unfortunately, I think the people at the top have no idea.
But Boris kind of in 2019 did get a lot of votes in towns like Blackpool.
He did.
And people liked him.
Of course, he's
should they still like him?
I think they should be very disappointed. I think it's a tragedy that these promises have not been kept. On energy, my goodness, everyone's going to feel it. Everyone is going to feel it. And on a myriad, actually, of things that were promised.
And when you saw the
fracking, for instance, by the way.
Well, fracking, I mean, we've had a fair debate about that. I sense there's less opposition here now than there might have been a few years ago. I'm sure there were some who are still very concerned. But it's kind of levelling up. We saw Michael Gove with his levelling up paper. I mean, Look,
I tell you, how you level up is start educating properly. Instead of having enterprise zones, have school super zones. Bring those children on. We are wasting our children. It doesn't matter whether you come from a castle or a council house. 2% are going to be bright. Many are going to be average. Some are going to need extra help, but it doesn't matter. We need to... They are the strength, not infrastructure. I've seen better education under a tree in Zimbabwe. In Soweto, where algebra goes round the walls. Believe me, I tell you, it's the people we have to...
so education, bringing back jobs. Can Blackpool see great days again?
I hope so. I really hope so. It really would make me incredibly happy.
Brilliant. Sue Reid, thank you very much for joining us on Talking Pints.